Walt Disney's Big Hero 6 has a lot of action, a lot of heart, and a lot of Easter eggs and hidden details to uncover. Let's scan it now. Big Hero 6 follows Hiro Hamada, voiced by Ryan Potter of Nickelodeon's Super Ninjas and HBO Max's Titans. Hiro is a kid prodigy when it comes to science and robotics and uses his abilities to scam other street punks out of their money in underground illegal bot-fighting gambling rings. Not quite living up to our name, are we, Hiro? In our first sequence of the movie, you see Hiro in action, hustling a giant combatant named Yama out of his money. Yama is Japanese for mountain, and if you look on the back of his shirt, the design you see is the Japanese symbol for his name. Yama also happens to be voiced by Paul Briggs, a man familiar with playing larger-than-life characters. He also voiced the abominable snow monster Marshmallow, who kept intruders at Elsa's ice castle at bay in Disney's Frozen. Speaking of marshmallows, check out this white, buoyant robot creation. Hiro's not the only member of the family with brains and a knack for engineering. His older brother Tadashi has gone the scholastic route in hopes of making a difference in people's lives, which leads him to create the round and bouncy carebot Baymax. Baymax is voiced by Scott Adsit, best known for playing Liz Lemon's second-in-command, Pete Hornberger, in the NBC sitcom 30 Rock. Tadashi designed Baymax to be non-threatening and huggable. Did you know that the filmmakers based Baymax's early movements on a baby? What could be more huggable, right? Well, more specifically, they went with a baby with a full diaper. Yeah, huggable, just don't squeeze too hard. Tadashi programmed Baymax with a special chip that contains over 10,000 medical procedures. That chip becomes more important later in the movie, but did you know that its significance also led to becoming an Easter egg in another movie universe? Still owned by Disney, no less, but in the 2015 movie Avengers Age of Ultron, check out the scene where Tony Stark goes shuffling through a handful of chips. Look fast as Stark finds the card titled Friday, and you'll see that there's one chip on the desk labeled Tadashi. Get a load of Tadashi's cap. Pretty cool logo, huh? But what does it mean? Well, Tadashi goes to the San Francisco Institute of Technology. He's doing everything he can to get Hiro into the program and off the streets, by the way. Anyway, the logo stands for the San Francisco Ninjas. Also, the t-shirt he wears when introducing Hiro to his school and friends shows the white ninja mascot. By now you might be wondering if I'm having a short circuit of my own. San Francisco? Don't worry, I pronounced it right. According to the film's art director Scott Watanabe, the movie is set in an alternate future where after the 1906 earthquake, San Francisco was rebuilt by Japanese immigrants using technologies that allowed movement and flexibility in a seismic event. After the city was rebuilt, it was renamed San Francisco, as it had become a city with Japanese and American architecture combined. It's nice when people get together for the common good, isn't it? After meeting Tadashi's friends in the department, not to mention his hero and head of the department Robert Callahan, voiced with gravitas by James Cromwell, Hiro is determined to follow in his big brother's footsteps and apply to the school. His big chance comes at the Institute Student Showcase. At the showcase, Hiro unveils his latest invention, microbots that can be manipulated with a neurotransmitter. That's science talk for tiny robots that you can control with your mind. Hiro sure knows how to wow an audience. The visuals are arresting. Did you know that the production team used an unlikely source of inspiration for the movement of the microbots? Their movements were taken from the animator's observation of fire ants. Fire ants work together and are not just organisms, they can be characterized as a viscoelastic substance, which means that when they're combined in large groups, they can take on characteristics of both a liquid or a solid, based on their shared needs. Pretty cool knowing something about fire ants other than that they have bites that burn. As burns go, there's no lack of friction between Callahan and Alistair Cray, a tech mogul at the showcase who also shows interest in Hiro's bots. Alistair Cray might sound familiar to you, but then again, maybe not. The voice actor's range is so wide, his credits run the gamut of Superman in Justice League War to the silly little chicken Hey Hey from Moana. It's character actor and voice extraordinaire Alan Tudyk. As shocked as Hiro is to have a tech giant's offer on the table to buy his invention, he decides not to sell his work, but to take Callahan's offer to join the school. Did you happen to notice that Callahan and Cray were not the only bigwigs at the event? Take a close look at the bottom left of the screen. As the blimp flies over the wide expanse of the showcase floor, you'll see a young girl talking to three other masters of industry, John Lasseter and Steve Jobs of Pixar fame, and then head of Walt Disney Animation Studios, Andrew Milstein. Another of Milstein's hits with Disney just so happens to be Frozen. Because of this, I'm sure you won't be surprised to know that there are a few Frozen Easter eggs hiding in Big Hero 6. When Hiro and Baymax visit the police station, check out the bulletin board behind the officer at the desk. When he goes for a clipboard, we see a wanted poster for Frozen villain Hans posted on the wall behind him. We'll be back to Police HQ later, but that's not the only place we'll find Hans. Fast forward to the sequence when Hiro introduces Baymax 2.0. Baymax gives a demonstration of his new rocket-powered fist by sending it through a statue and the wall behind it. You better have a trigger finger to pause this one. For the few frames the statue is intact, you can see that it was also a statue of Hans. You gotta be quick for this one too. A couple minutes later, Baymax takes Hiro on a flight through the city. At one point, they take a dive underneath an elevated train. At the bottom right of the screen on the walkway under the purple sign is another statue. This time it's everyone's favorite sentient ball of snow, Olaf. Of course, the Frozen team would later have fun returning the favor. There's a cool Easter egg in Frozen 2, pun intended. At the top of the film, we get a flashback of Elsa and Anna playing with little snow figures. One is a very familiar round and white being, but it's no snowman, it's Baymax. So why is Baymax such a big deal? Baymax becomes Hiro's healthcare companion after Tadashi dies. A freak fire ignites in the hall moments after the showcase ends, and Tadashi goes back inside in a failed attempt to save Callahan. When Baymax acquires data for personal loss, he contacts Tadashi and Hiro's friends from the school as part of Hiro's treatment for bereavement. Hiro and Baymax find out that the fire might not have been an accident, and that Hiro's microbots were not lost, but stolen and duplicated by a kabuki-masked villain bent on using them for evil. Cue the police station. And we're back, like I said. Of course, the police are no help. I mean, just look at him. He doesn't seem motivated to collate, let alone bring a villain to justice. But actually, take a closer look at his nameplate. His last name is Gerson, which just so happens to be the same last name as Daniel Gerson, co-writer on the movie. So without the support of the police, Hiro teams up with his brother's lab partners, and with the help of science, they become Big Hero 6. Roll call! Go-Go Tamago. Unofficially, according to Jamie Chung, the voice actor portraying her, Go-Go's first name is Ethel. This is a far cry from Laiko Tanaka, which is her real name in her first incarnation, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, she's the spunky speedster of the group who uses rounded discs for wheels and weapons. Another funny fact about her, how good is your Japanese? If it's on point, then you probably already know why her super suit is yellow. Visual development artist Lorelai Beauvais says the animation team colored it yellow to match her name. Change the O to an A and you've got Tamago, which means egg in Japanese. That's a fun little in-yoke. Next up we have Wasabi, voiced by Damon Wayans Jr. Like Go-Go, his green attire seems to be attributed to his name. Never had wasabi? Head to a sushi joint and try a scoopful, we'll wait. No, don't actually do that. Anyway, he's the uber particular nervous ninny of the group, but when he suits up, he's a force to be reckoned with, thanks to his plasma blades. Like Go-Go, Wasabi's real name is never given in the movie, but again, in other iterations of his character, his full name was originally Wasabi No Ginger, and he wasn't a science student at all, but a sushi chef. Honey Lemon, voiced by Genesis Rodriguez, is the super sweet chemistry whiz with a bag full of goodies. Look closely at her purse, and you can see it displays a miniature version of the periodic table of elements. That means that when she creates a new chem ball, it's not a set of pre-programmed mixtures. She's actually concocting chemical mixtures right there on the fly with her big brain. In her earliest incarnation, she was originally Japanese, but in Disney's adaptation, she's of Hispanic descent. In fact, can you hear what she's blasting through her earbuds when Hiro first meets her? It's a song called Boca Dolce Boca by Jose Luis Rodriguez, Genesis Rodriguez's real-life father. How dolce is that? One other fun little Easter egg, take a look at her cell phone case. Remind you of anyone? If so, then you've probably seen Zootopia, because that fox with a tie is a sly nod to Nick Wilde, voiced in that movie by Jason Bateman. Finally, we have Fred, the goofy one of the group. He might be the comic relief, but there's definitely more than meets the eye with this one. He's so into kaiju monsters that he wishes he was one. Hiro remembers this about him from their first meeting and designs a costume based on his favorite kaiju, Krogar. Though never one to flaunt it, he comes from a very wealthy family, and it's through his influence that our group of budding scientists become superheroes. A few minutes ago, I annoyingly referenced earlier versions of characters without any explanation. That's about to pay off. Have a look at the family portrait on the wall inside Fred's mansion. Fred's pops bears more than a passing resemblance to Stan Lee, the veritable patriarch of Marvel Comics. Did you know that Big Hero 6 was loosely adapted from a Marvel Comics series? Well, you do now. What I said about Stan Lee, I meant. It's not just his likeness you see in Big Hero 6, but his actual voice you hear when he shows up in the post-credit sequence after Fred happens upon his secret superhero control room. Lee isn't the only Marvel Easter egg in Big Hero 6, and Fred's responsible for a couple more of them thanks to his room alone. His bedroom looks like a fanboy sanctuary, with collectibles and full-scale superhero statues to boot. Keep your eyes trained on the background after Fred hands Wasabi an issue of Dr. Slaughter MD. You'll see two larger-than-life characters in their own display cases. The burly one on the left is a deep cut in the Marvel Universe, a villain called Orca, who first appeared in Marvel's Prince Namor, the Submariner number 23 in March of 1970. And on the right, that blue chicken-looking dude is Black Talon. So there are two Black Talons of this ilk in comics, Desmond True and Samuel David Barone. Both wore the, impressive outfit, and both were cult leaders heavy into voodoo. So yeah, I'd avoid calling either of them chicken if I were you. There's one other character in the room who can't go without mention, and that's the ultimate villain of all, Satan. I mean, Satine. At least that's what he said he preferred to be called during the Badanon meeting in Wreck-It Ralph. Hey, he's the devil. I'll call him John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt if he wants me to, so long as he doesn't set me on fire. I hope you're satisfied with your care, liked this video, and found some cool new details you haven't seen before in Disney Animation's Big Hero 6. Make sure you subscribe to Movie Logic for more daily movie facts, trivia, and Easter eggs.